John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush stuck in a retirement home. Jeffrey is a stroke victim while John Lithgow has a doll on his hand. It's the rule of Jenny Penn. It's the rule of Jenny Penn. It's the rule of Jenny Penn. The Rule of Jenny Penn was written and directed by James Ashcroft, who's done Coming Home in the Dark as well as shorts and television, and was written by Eli Kent, and the short story was done by Owen Marshall. And yes, Jeffrey Rush is a proud judge that suffers a stroke early on in the movie during a sentencing. And, well, he is now confined to basically a wheelchair. He can barely walk. He's trying to get his motor skills back, get his motor running. Escape in the light. Across the New Zealand might. Do I know what these lyrics are? Oh no. That being said, Jeffrey Rush, yes, playing a judge named Stefan, or I wanted to call him Stefan just because Stefan Urkel and it's funnier. But yes, a once proud judge, a once powerful judge who commanded the room is now reduced basically to having basically fighting his stroke-ridden body. It would be a terrible fate to wish upon anybody. This is no ordinary retirement home. So it is set in New Zealand. It also features one of the most incompetent and, incomplete staffs that I have seen at any retirement home in fucking years, because they don't realize that one of their residents named Dave Creeley, played by John Lithgow, who has a doll on his hand that he nicknamed Jenny Penn. And since he's a bully, it is the rule of Jenny Penn. Boy, that's so goddamn detailed. That's so incredible. Man, I can't wait to dive into the deep narrative that this is providing. So this is a Shudder original that got a limited theatrical release, and I decided, having not seen anything other than the poster, I didn't see a trailer, I didn't even know this movie existed until a couple days ago, I decided, sure, I've only seen 4 movies in the last couple days. Why not give this a shot? It's rare that I can see any psychological horror or horror adjacent horror, whatever subgenre, dom genre, or a sub-subgenre of horror. It doesn't matter. I'll dive into just about anything, good, bad, or indifferent. And when I see Jeffrey Rush, who is an incredible actor, if you just ignore him hamming it up in Gods of Egypt, and John Lithgow, who is really goddamn talented. They're the 2 stars. I mean, there is a guy named George Hanare that I actually thought at first was Tony Amendola. I don't know why I thought that, maybe just because of the camera tricks. But basically, yes, Dave is torturing people with a doll on his hand to the point that he's bothering people during the night. He then plays the victim and everything. And none of the staff believes Stefan or any of the people that are tortured because they're an incompetent staff. And yes, the theme of this movie, or one of the themes, is elder abuse and the elderly just being cast aside. And, nobody believes them. Their family is just like, we don't want to deal with them. And there's a lot of shit that goes on in these retirement homes. And then, of course, when you have a bully, the only way to stop a bully is basically to, fight back against them and use your smarts, especially if you are a stroke victim or if you're elderly. You have to basically try what you can to make sure that you save yourself and you take care of your health. The thing is this movie simultaneously tries to stay busy while going absolutely nowhere. It is dull, repetitive, bland. It is mean-spirited as fuck. Not even mean-spirited in a dark comedy way. Not even mean-spirited in like, okay, I can't wait to see this character get their comeuppance. Every character is fucking stupid. Even like the ones that are just, like the ones that are just like in the background. I mean, we basically just have turns of people being somewhat tortured and everything. John Lithgow, bless him, I don't know what the fuck he was supposed to be doing here, but it wasn't even a character that I wanted to see meet an unfortunate end. I just wanted this movie to meet an unfortunate end because I fucking hated this. I despise this movie. This movie is absolutely rotten to its core. And not even the type of rotten where I can laugh at it. It's not even like The Front Room where you can sort of laugh at a little bit of it. This is actually worse than The Front Room. which is saying something, because that was one of the worst horror movies that I have seen in a theater in fucking years. And this is an absolute abomination. This is putrid, again, mean-spirited. It drags on and on and on. It has no goddamn redeemable qualities, has no redeemable characters. I didn't care one bit what happened to Jeffrey Rush. I didn't really, find anything horrifying about Dave. The only thing I found horrifying was the fact that this film was even made. And I don't care if that is considered mean-spirited and if I'm just turning my anger and hate and everything back on this goddamn film, because it is terrible. 1,000% terrible. There are like glimmers early on that this might be okay. The opening scene with Jeffrey Rush suffering a stroke, and yes, I'm spoiling a lot of this. I don't really fucking care, and nor should you. You can just wait for this to be on Shudder, and then you can just skip over and watch literally anything else. It's not often I basically encourage people to not watch something, but like really, there are better uses of your time. I hated this movie. I fucking hated this. I despise every aspect of it, because even the glimmers of hope, the opening scene with Jeffrey Rush suffering a stroke, that was kind of okay. And then a little bit of a setup where he's in this retirement home. The thing is John Lithgow's character is just not good. Not good at all. We get a little bit of a background about why he might be this way. But the thing is even if we got explanations, full explanations, even like slight explanations, it wouldn't fucking matter, because there's no justification for this movie to fucking exist in this or any goddamn universe. To exist as it is, to exist 20 minutes shorter, to exist as anything other than an idea. Because the idea of elders being abused and, shit going on at a retirement home, maybe the staff's in on, maybe something. There are many different directions this movie could have gone, but the only direction it went was straight to fucking hell. I'm going to get into spoilers. I don't care if I piss anybody off. Spoilers. I really don't care if anybody involved in this gets upset. Because I love horror. I have never claimed to be a filmmaker, but I know what good horror is. I can appreciate even bad horror if I can laugh at it. I didn't laugh at this. I wasn't even squirming. It wasn't like, oh, wow, oh, that's really skin-crawlingly. No, the only thing that's skin-crawlingly awful about this is the mere existence of this film. So basically, after doing the sentencing, he passes out, he suffers a stroke, Stefan does, and then there's this one point where he goes out and sees a guy that's drinking and smoking in his wheelchair. He tries to get out and just walk around the yard with his cane, and the guy ends up setting himself on fire, which was kind of funny. There is a nursing home cat, by the way, that is always nearby. That guy even warned you got to watch out for that. The nursing home cat, of course, the trope where if a cat gets close to you in a nursing home, then you are likely going to die. That would have actually been a whole lot better if they had just gone with that, if the cat had been named Jenny Penn. But no, they couldn't even be that creative. It's a hollowed out doll that John Lithgow puts on his hand and tortures George Honore's character. I think his name is Tony, and tortures him by like making him like, whose role is it, even licking the doll's ass in this, and just why is any of this happening? Like, it's not setting up for any major payoff. Yes, this torture has obviously been going on for a while, but it's just so goofy. Stefan basically does try to get his, use his wit and everything and try to outsmart Dave, which really isn't that hard, because really I guess Stefan's about the only halfway smart character in this. The smart thing would have been to not take the fucking role, but I digress. So nevertheless, now the staff believe him as this stuff goes on, and Dave uses a key card to basically gain access to his stuff, to steal people's stuff and blame others for his actions. There's this one point where this older lady takes his card when he tries to show her something, and then he sends her out into the goddamn wilderness, basically saying, oh, your family's out there, and the nursing home cat is there. So maybe her death was already sealed. Again, there are ideas in this that could have fucking worked, but nevertheless, she goes out into the night. And then he has a card and tries to use it. But oh no, the card got switched. So now he has to go out to her goddamn, bloated corpse in a mud field somewhere and get the card back. But the The card may or may not work. It doesn't really fucking matter. It's fine. Oh, yes, and also Dave is on an inhaler, and one of the payback points was Stefan basically emptying all the inhalers to torture him and do all that, basically to pay the bully back. The thing is this movie just drags on. It says an hour and 43 minutes, and it felt like 3 hours. This felt like it wouldn't fucking end. It takes forever for anything to actually happen, and then when stuff actually happens, you're like, okay, movie, I'm so sorry. Go back to having nothing happen, because then at least I could zone out and not miss shit. You could zone out when stuff happens, you won't miss shit. I'll just say that much. And there was this thing about Tony where he had this, safe room. It was a room where they fold the laundry, the sheets, and stuff like that. The staff, once again, is absolutely incompetent. There is a point where a guy is singing with a weird, goofy mask. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, and that includes everybody's names. There is a part where basically Jeffrey Rush suffers even more health setbacks. And now he's really not doing all that well. And after, his body's basically been betraying him, he finally submits to the rule of Jenny Penn, where he even licks the doll's asshole. And this is after, by the way, that, Dave essentially explains that he once saw Stefan basically command a room, all this stuff, and he's done nothing with his life. He has worked at this place through a lot of years. These pictures are seen. You might have thought maybe he was an immortal, or maybe he was just somebody that finally goddamn snapped and decided to kill people, the same old people, to remind him of the patients that he took care of. But no, he's just an asshole. That's really it. And you don't really need a deep explanation, but you do need something to hang your hat on. Since I don't own a hat, I just prefer that the movie be hanged, preferably in front of everybody that funded it, because that's what you deserve to see. Can you hang a movie? No, you can't. But that being said, there are a few explanations, or a few, little things that are sprinkled in. And then the big idea, after, Stefan's basically not doing all that well, Tony decides to do, I think it's the haka, I think that's what it is, the ward dance thing that they do in New Zealand. Because there was an earlier thing with a rugby team, and that's something that they do to prepare for the games, and also it's a native thing, and my God, it's terrifying to see. It's inspiring as fuck, but it's terrifying. But he starts to have issues because he's old. And then the finale basically is they manage to get John Lithgow into the goddamn laundry room, and they end up smothering him. Well, Jeffrey Rush does, because he's not really able to move much, but he's able to smother him some sheets, and then they smother him, and then they burn the doll, and then he's still stuck in a stroke-ridden body, but at least they don't have to worry about the bully anymore. Maybe the real bullies were the ones we made along the way. If I explain that plot badly, I don't really care, because there's barely a plot. It's barely a concept. I'm just talking about the things that happened. So yeah, it gets an F. This is one of the worst movies of the year. I said that about In the Lost Lands. This is one of the worst movies of the year. This is barely anything. This is like 30 to 40 minutes of material minimum, actually maximum, and stretched out to this fucking length. It's embarrassing. I don't know what Jeffrey Rush was thinking. I don't know what John Lithgow was thinking. Maybe they had, video evidence against them that would be, permissible in court. I don't know, but I just can't imagine that anybody looked at this film and said, this is a good idea. Because it's not. It's ugly, mean-spirited, and most of all, boring. Really boring. So yeah, F. Agree, disagree what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.